if you are watching my wrap-ups in a row, you will know that I filmed the intro to this wrap-up right after finishing the wrap-up for March. Hi, hey, hi, it is me, your void. And it's Orilium season again, and I'm overachieving again. If you want to see all the details about it, I will link a video up there, down there, I don't know. Yeah, if you see the 2 stacks of books behind me, that is because I'm an overachieving bitch for Orilium. Who would have thunk it? And I already finished my first read. I have a reading regiment this month. I have planned out how much I need to read every single day in order to get this done. So we are on April 1st. This is not a joke, and I already finished my first read. Not too impressive, it was just a manga, but I already finished volume 2 of My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi? I don't know. I can't speak Japanese. My Hero Academia is about a bunch of kids having superpowers in a world where almost everyone has superpowers, and they go to school to become superheroes. And the premise is that we follow Izuku, who was born without superpowers in this world full of superpowers, and now he does shit in a superhero school. How does that work? In volume 2, it's pretty much 50-50, kind of. Why don't I just tell you? The first part is about like a test where the class is split into heroes and villains, and they have to like compete against each other, but in an environment that is indoors. So they have to learn how to use their powers indoors. And we get these 2 fuckers who are childhood sweethearts, and they have to fight each other. And this guy desperately wants to kill this guy, even though it's just a training session. And they confess their feelings for each other. I make this sound so gay. I mean, the vibes are there, but it's not gay. They're just friends. Historians will call them friends. They dish it out. They have some feelings, and then shit is resolved. Then we have a little filler episode where they have to select a class. I wanted to say class clown, but no, it's like a class leader, like the guy who speaks for the class. That was a little chaos. And then we get to the moment where the anime originally caught me, and that is when we go to train how to behave and how to help out as superheroes when there is a natural disaster, large-scale catastrophe training. But before we can start that training, villains attack! And we see the actual pro heroes, the teachers who are already heroes, spring into action, and yes, that those couple of episodes, I love them, and I do like the chapters of the manga in this. I do have to mention something though. This might just be me misremembering the anime, but I think the anime actually cut out some, not necessarily scenes, but definitely some dialogue, especially when Izuku and what's his name? The hedgehog were fighting. I think at least in the manga, it is a bit clearer what the motivation behind certain character actions are. Like, I was low-key confused when they dished it out in the anime, and now I know why. So either I am misremembering the anime, like, big time, or they literally cut out some very valuable dialogue in the anime episode. Stuff feels missing. Like, I read lines in this manga that I did not remember, and that made the whole situation a bit clearer, which I appreciate that. I appreciate it, because I did not like that scene necessarily in the anime, but now I understand it. Now I know why it's here, and now I understand certain character actions that happen later on, because now they have context. So I appreciate that. Also, if you're wondering if this counts towards my catch up with series and or finishing series, no, it doesn't. I do not count comics or mangas for my series slasher project this year. So all of this, useless! I finished my second read, which is Brutal by Kei Koga and Ryo Isawa, which is, if you've been around on my channel, you will know what this series is about, but we follow this guy. His name is Dan, and he is a detective specifically for, like, murders and shit, but he is also, as his face may or may not tell you, he is a murderer. He's judge, jury, and executioner in his free time, because why not, you know? And I've had this ongoing issue with these mangas that in volume 1, 2, and 3 we only get him doing his, let's call it, hobby of murdering people that are just assholes. Like, he's not just murdering random people, he's murdering actual active assholes that don't get justice through the police system for whatever reason. But an ongoing issue I have with these is that we only see that part. We never see him actually be a policeman. We don't get any surrounding story whatsoever. And the more I read of this, yes, it is a cathartic experience to see these assholes get what they deserve, I guess, in the most brutal way possible. But it's becoming kind of stale to see that happening. But, and it's a big but, in this one, in the end, there is like a tiny little story by the end. The first 2 chapters, is it 2 chapters? I think it's 2 chapters. Is it? Yeah, the first 2 chapters is about this domestic abuser. Like, he's a really fucking asshole. Like, he's like the biggest asshole you can meet. Like, he is violent towards his wife. He is projecting this facade of being a perfect husband and father when in actuality he doesn't care about his kids. He abuses his wife almost to the point of killing her, and he has a bunch of affairs on the side. And one day, one of these affairs comes back and is like, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant. And he's like, okay, cool, here's some money, get rid of it. And she decides not to get rid of the baby, and instead she has the baby. And then a couple of months later, she's like, hey, by the way, this is your son. I don't want anything from you. I just wanted to let you know you have a kid with me. And then he's like super angry and again wants to pay her off, but she's like, I don't need your money. I just wanted to tell you you have a kid if you're interested. And he then just randomly attacks her and accidentally kills her and also almost kills the baby and is like totally fine with leaving the baby alone, knowing that this 1-month-old infant could very well just die. It's like, thankfully the kid survives, but that is the guy, and he happens to live in the same building as Dan, and Dan does some digging because his squad is actually put on the death case, and he figures some shit out, but legally they can't really tie the guy to the thing, at least not as quickly as Dan would like it, so Dan takes matters into his own hands and gets rid of the guy. In the end, they can connect the dots, which then enables the wife to start a new life, do whatever she wants with the 2 kids. The baby is also cared for. Everything is like happy ending and stuff. But then there is a tiny, I want to call it filler episode almost, but it's not a filler episode. It feels like a filler episode for the most part because it's just Dan and his buddies from the police. They get like time off and they go on like a company trip thing to an onsen and chill out there, and in the next room over there's a guy completely drunk and he's like abusing his co-workers, his subordinates, I don't know, and makes them do like bullshit things, and they all storm in as police people and like, hey, this is abuse, you are arrested, and the guy then just takes off running and Dan of course tracks him down, and then he pushes him down a cliff or something on accident. Like, the guy just trips and falls down a cliff, lands in a river, broken ribs and everything, not able to move, so Dan could very easily just kill him and pretend it has been an accident, no problem whatsoever, but Dan is like, you're not interesting enough, and just leaves. That is not where the story comes in. The story comes in because people ask him, like his colleagues ask him, hey Dan, what is the kind of woman you like? And he's like, yeah, I'm not really, I don't really have a type, but there was this one girl in high school, and he starts raving about her, and everything is hunky-dory, and then he's like, and everyone's like, hey, what happened to her? And he's like, she died. And everyone's like, ugh! And then they have to crash the party because abuse is happening, and then later on the trip back home, it's the very last page. We see Dan. He's like, oh my love, I would have loved to use my hands to kill you. And I'm like, okay, who is this woman? And I need more information. And I'm like, I hope in volume 5 we get more backstory about Dan. Who was this woman? I also want to have some police investigation happen, please. Like, there are all these people. In this volume, it has happened again, where the person Dan kills, because they committed a crime, is then retroactively connected to the crime he's killing them for. And his squad has always been on the case. I need someone in that office to connect the dots, and I want it to be this lady. I forgot her name, but there is this lady, and she worships the ground Dan walks on. He is her idol. She wants to learn from him. And I need her to connect the dots that he is doing something. I need her to either investigate his ass, or I need her to see that and be like, I want to do that as well because the system is fucked. And I can see both options for her because she too had an abusive past. There is both options here, and I just need one of these options to finally happen, man. Very nice to see an abuser get what he deserves. Very, very nice. Not as brutal as I thought it could be. Don could have done more with that. I think that guy died too slowly. Too peacefully. He deserved worse. I didn't get to film anything in the past couple of days, so I have a stack of manga to talk about. Yes, I am infatuated with the Artemis mission. Don't at me. Let's start here. I read volume 3 and 4 of My Hero Academia. I pretty much read them back to back, so I I don't really know where one ends and the other begins. We have the second part of the villains attacking the school in volume 3, and then the start and like the preparation and the first round of the sport festival where the kids just showcase their powers. Again, I was a huge fan in the anime and still am now that I read it in the manga of the attack on the school. So that was amazing. And the sport festival, I don't know, I hate the sport festival. The only good thing, in my opinion, about the sport festival is the thing with Shoto versus Izuku. The whole, this is not his power, this is your power thing, and I haven't even reached that yet, so nah. Not a huge fan of Volume 4, because Volume 4 is just the sports festival. It's the weird piggyback riding thing, which I really didn't care about, and then we have the first fights of the, the fighting round 3. Next volume will hopefully be a bit better, because that will then have the fight with that specific line in it, but Volume 4, I couldn't care less. Like Volume 3 because of the first half. Couldn't care less about Volume 4. And then I read Volume 6 and 7 of Spy Family. And again, there are big parts of both of these that I don't care about. In Volume 6, I was like, okay, cool. Like the tennis match, the weird underground, no rules tennis match, that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool, but also kind of pointless, so But that was at least that was cool. And then we have Lloyd and your miscommunication dates. Oh, that one was a good one. That one I was eating it up. And then we had another school chapter that I just did not care about at all. But at the end of Volume 6, Lloyd finally meets his target. He finally has an in. So I was like, yes, this needs to go somewhere. So I picked up Volume 7. They had their first talk, and it was amazing, and it was so good. And then we have more school stuff, and then we get Bond, the dog. The dog gets a chapter, and I was like, yes, okay, cool, cute filler. Now can we go back to the main story? No, we can't, because we have to have a filler episode of Yuri, which I still don't like. Oh my god, can we just not spend time with that asshole? Just no thank you. And then we had more filler in the school and Anya picking outfits and shit, and I couldn't care less about that. And then I thought, okay, we're going someplace because Lloyd was picking up more stuff for a new mission, but no, it's just following his assistant guy because he wants to catch a fucking cat. And then we get mention of yours backstory as a serial killer. Well, not serial killer, as a contract killer. And I was like, yes! Information! And then the fucking issue ends! Watch Volume 8 be one chapter about her mission and how she has to juggle her mission with her family being there. Because so far we only saw Lloyd having to juggle all of that thing. Watch Volume 8 just be one chapter of her having to juggle both of these things, and then we get 7 more filler chapters. At this point, I'm getting bored by Spy Family because we're getting nowhere. It feels like we got the mission statement and we built the family, and ever since then, it's just filler after filler after filler. I'm not a big fan of filler episodes in general. I'm also not a fan of filler chapters in general, but I do know they are necessary. The thing is, it's not filler if if it's your entire story. The mission is to get to this dude, and to get to this dude, we need to have a kid in school that is doing well, so we are invited to this super high society special super duper club. Why are we focusing on everything but that? Can we focus on the mission, please? Can we focus on the struggle these people have to keeping their secret identity from their family? I can only stomach so many random missions Lloyd gets when the outcome is always the same. It's a bit funny, haha, it's some over-the-top cool action, and no one ever notices that he is this super duper amazing action agent. And then for Yor, like I said, we haven't even seen her actually work since she has made this deal with Lloyd to pretend to be his wife and the mother of Anya. I want more of that side of things. I love Bond, and I love that he had a chapter in there. That was fine. But all of these school chapters following these kids around trying to eat some magical baked stuff to get good grades is so useless. I don't need that. Please and thank you. So yeah, I'm starting to get bored by this series. If I don't find something plot related soon, I don't know. I'm getting bored. And I don't want to get bored because I like these characters. And then I finished Elden Ring Volume 2. This is so dumb. It's so dumb and I love it. It's so dumb and I love it. It's the dumb kind of hilarious. I am very much like, I'm knee deep into Elden Ring lore. I love Elden Ring lore. I love Elden Ring. And this one specifically, like this entire series comes with a disclaimer that this is not the way the game presents itself, because you meet a bunch of NPCs and major bosses and stuff, but it takes all of the stuff from the game and then makes it funny. We technically have a major boss fight in here against Godric, the Lord of all that is golden.
I am the Lord of all that is golden.
But instead of having to fight him, he turns the boss fight into an arts and crafts challenge, but like with corpses. It's so dumb. It is so dumb. It's so dumb. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is just some brains off, funny, haha, dumb bullshit with established lore, like super cool high fantasy lore that is just a bunch of people being dumb. And I love that so much. To give you an example of just how dumb it is, we meet Alex. Alex is a jar. He's a literal jar. He is a warrior jar. You do not need to know the context of what is a warrior jar. You just need to know this is Alexander. He is a jar and he is alive. And when you meet him in game as well like that. He is stuck in a hole. And he wants you to hit him from the back so he can get out of the hole. The amount of butt and dick jokes in this scene. You just have to whack me real good from behind. Just get right in there. It's so dumb. And I love it.
What an incredible angle. You are currently sitting on a ginormous refill package of black pepper and are leaning against a ginormous package of nutmeg. This is the same container that you're currently sitting on and leaning against. Anyway, I finished my short story collection, Lupus in Fabula by Briar Ripley, Briar something, I don't know. Good read, very visceral, very much, okay, what if we take body dysphoria and put it into words? Initially, I wanted to read one short story a day, and I did that. But because some of them were so short, I didn't really have thoughts on them. I also think it was a mistake to read them first thing in the morning over my first coffee in the morning. So there's not a lot of brain activity in my brain going on, and then I read that, and then I just move on with my day. So that might have been part of the issue. And then the last, I think like 5 short stories, it's 13 total. I think the last 5 short stories I just read in one go, so they're all blurred together. But they're all like single things. They have nothing to do with each other. They are very different. Some have like a fantastical element to them. Some have more body horror than others. There was one that is taking place in a flooded world. There's so much stuff going on. But overall, I liked it. The things that these stories kind of evoked, I like that. It stuck with me that this is very much just small things in a person's life, but then turn that up and put it in the horror genre. It felt like a look into someone's brain, to someone's nightmares. It very much feels like a collection of, let's say someone has a dream diary and takes the snippets they have in that dream diary and takes the time to make them coherent and put them in little stories. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going with. It feels like a dream diary, like an edited dream diary of a person who views the world through a horror lens, which can be a very artistic thing, in my opinion. Like you can take everything and turn it into a fantastical thing, into a whimsical thing, into a fairy tale thing, but you can also turn it into something extremely horrific if you just think about it in the right way. So I enjoyed my time with it. But again, it's nothing to write home about. Like it didn't knock me out of my socks, I guess. I don't know. It's a solid read. It's fun to have these snippets of horror. Cool. I mean, queer horror is superior. You can fight me on that, but queer horror is superior. So yeah, just queer thoughts turned into horror is always superior to normal horror. You can fight me on that. I don't care. It's my opinion. And yeah, so I did that. Moving on.
I just sat down to start filming. And he is not happy that he is not included. So if you hear whining in the background, he can see me. He's supposed to take a nap. But I'm not here to talk about the abandonment issues of my puppy. I am here to talk about 2 books that I finished. One reluctantly so, the other one with great enthusiasm. Let's start with the good one first. I finished the first Battle Mage book by Peter A. Flannery. Reminder for those of you who have not seen my April TBR, why? Go and watch it immediately. But little reminder, this is only book 1 in the German edition, because the German publisher, after seeing the translation, declared this to be too many pages, so they split it into 2 books. So technically, this is only 50% of the actual Battle Mage book, but for me it's an entire ass book. And not a small one. This one is 572 pages long. So it's not a small book. The other book is, I think, almost 700 pages. So it's a chunky 50% of a book. But for once, I have come across a couple of times now where the German publisher decided to split a book in half. This one is an okay split, because the Battle Mage books, or the Battle Mage book, rather, is split into 4 parts. So you have the first 2 parts in here and then 2 parts in the other one. So for everyone but my German audience, I don't even think I have a German audience, but if anyone in German wants to read this is going to be a review of the entire first book. For everyone else, this is the review of the first half of the book. In this first half, we have the introduction to our main characters, which is Falco Dante, the son of a battle mage that did a very, very big oopsie that he is now being blamed for. Like, everyone is like, oh, like father, like son. So they don't like him. And his best friend, Malaki the Vain. They are living in this village, and we meet them on the day of a certain, like, test, kind of. Like, I think every year. It's either every year or every 4 years. There is this emissary from the Queen. He travels across the country to look for new talent to become knights and important officers in the Queen's army. And we meet these 2 boys on the day that this happens. And this one is super duper special because this emissary comes with a battle mage. He comes back with a newly appointed battle mage, and this battle mage is from this place, and he now comes back to try and summon his dragon. Because every battle mage, once they complete their training, are allowed to summon a dragon. The problem being, not every dragon is a good dragon. Step 1, very rare to have a battle mage. Step 2, not every battle mage can summon a dragon. Step 3, not every battle mage that summons a dragon summons a good dragon. Because if it turns out that the dragon they summon is black, the dragon has to be killed immediately, because these dragons are considered as mad and they like to kill people. And we would like them not to kill people, because we need them to fight the demons who want to kill people. So we meet them, and then shenanigans happen during that trial. Let's call it trial. And then then also during the dragon summoning, because Falco, even though he's not allowed to witness the dragon summoning, he sneaks up there and wants to see a dragon summoning, because he was very young when his father died, and his father was a battle mage with a dragon, and his dad and his dragon went insane and killed a bunch of people. So he was like, okay, I want to see what this is all about. I just want to see a dragon. So he goes up there, and then shit happens. A lot of shit happens. And then even more shit happens, and there's a demon army, and his entire city has to evacuate, and even more shit happens, and he's accepted to this college of war where he's now training with his friends. And then turns out Falco's also a battle mage, so he starts training to be a battle mage, and my god. I distinctly remembered Battle Mage being a debut, if you've ever seen a debut. Like, it reads very much like a debut novel, because it is, and it still reads like that. And I have to say, if I didn't have the nostalgic feelings that come with a reread of a book you really enjoyed, this is not as great. I only cherish this as much as I do because of what this book did to me when I first read it. Now, with a bit more reading experience, with a bit more reading under my belt, this would not be more than like a 3.5. Maybe, when it originally was a 5-star for me. It still has the same emotional beats, but now I can see where the writing is, where it needs training. I had this thought when I finished it, right when I finished it, I had this thought of like, okay, how am I going to explain this? Bit of context on the author. Peter A. Flannery did a bunch of stuff, and then apparently he had like a workplace incident. I think he broke his neck or something. Yeah, he broke his neck, and he did a bunch of stuff, and then he broke his neck, so he was forced to like sit around for a bunch of time, and then he decided to write a book. And it very much feels like a book that was written by someone who had nothing better to do and just so happens to be just good enough and find the exact right person to get this published. That is what this feels like. It's not a bad book. Even with all the critique I have in terms of the writing, it is not a bad book. It just very much reads like the book of someone who got extremely lucky with the first ever book they tried to write. And they only wrote the book because they had nothing else to do. That is what it feels like. It's still a good book though. I can see people not liking it because the world building is low-key expositional. Like, it's very much, oh yeah, this, boom, Lordom. Okay, this, boom, Lordom. But it's the kind of world building that I like, the kind of world building that I can enjoy, so I was just dragged along, and then that final fight of part 1, Simeon and Falco just doing the thing that they are doing, it hurt. I knew it was coming and it still hurt. The thing with the dragon summoning, I knew it was coming and it still hurt. Even on a reread. Even after now being able to see the flaws in the actual writing style. And then in part 2 it's just like training montage, but it is actually one of the more interesting training montages in my opinion, because of Falco and his friend group. We get a lot of different training montages. We see Brenna, who is a noble-born archer, and she is handed one of the most difficult battalions because they are so disrespectful, and she has to somehow get down on a level of these common-born archers, gain their respect as this 16, 17-year-old noble girl. We see how she does that and how she trains them to be an actual force on the battlefield. We see Malaki training to become a knight. We see Falco training to become a battle mage, which is another thing. We also have a Magi in training. We don't necessarily see his training. He is more for the background plot of this book. That is then the whole thing until the end. We also get chapters from the demon army, from the people who are leading the demon army. Every now and then you get a glimpse of other battle mages, of other knights fighting this war. Like, you get a top-down view on occasion. This book is just good shit. Good fucking shit. And I think the way the book ends, again, it's only the first half for everyone else out there. It's how part 2 of the book ends. Is so good. If you ever read Battle Mage, if you ever read this book, I need you to imagine the cliffhanger of part 2, the way part 2 ends, and then imagine that you have to wait over a year until the rest of the book is released. Because that is what I had to suffer through. This book technically ends on a cliffhanger because the German publisher decided to split the book into 2 parts. And I bought this on release, so I had to wait another year until part 2 was translated. The fuck? So, yeah, I'm still very much in love with this. Just be aware that it has its flaws. I will give you an update once I finish part 2. I'm already halfway through that. First 50% of Battle Mage done, I guess. And the other book I need to talk about is the book that I reluctantly finished, and that is The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Megan Bannon. Why did I only finish this reluctantly? Because I went into this with high expectations, because I loved The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I loved that book to bits. So the expectations going into this were quite high, and it didn't meet a single one of them. It was so boring that halfway through I soft DNF'd this after a chapter in which Heart and Mercy marry. We only get like 2 pages of Heart and Mercy. They don't even do anything other than stand in front of an altar, and that was immediately so much better than anything else happening in the rest of this book. So I had to soft DNF it because it just blatantly waved in my face that I don't like this book. Twyla, oh my gosh, this woman is infuriating. This woman is so dumb. She can't see the exit if you point at it with a neon sign. I swear, this woman is so unobservant. It's ridiculous. I would have loved to have Frank's perspective on any of the things that happened, but no, we have to stick with Twyla, and I was so sick of her by page 10. I hate this woman. I hate her. The most interesting thing was the glitter-spitting dragons. Yes, there are glitter-spitting dragons in here. And the relationship drama of Duckers. He was the partner of Hart in book 1, the newly assigned partner, and he then had a relationship with Zeddy, who is the brother of Mercy. And we see the relationship continue in this one, and there's a bit of drama in their relationship, and I was more invested in that side plot off-page drama than I was interested in whatever was going on with Twyla and Frank. So, yeah. Also, I don't buy a single thing about Hermia. That could have been handled so much better. I liked Hermia in the beginning, and then Hermia in the end just didn't make any sense. The thing with Hermia at the end was like, oh shit, I forgot this book is supposed to be a comedy, let's do something funny. And I was not vibing with that at all. 1 second, I think he stole a shoe. Yeah, he stole a shoe and a towel. Now he's here with me. Hopefully he can behave. He's actually not supposed to be in here. I think I have to go on walkies with him in a second. So, yeah, let's wrap Twyla and Frank up. It was not a fun read at all. It lacked absolutely everything that made Heart and Mercy so interesting. I have been told, however, that book 2 is the worst of the bunch, and that book 3, Rosie and Adam, gets back to what made Heart and Mercy so funny and so interesting in the first place. So, yeah, this little potato, ow, needs to go on walkies so he can expend some of that energy. And yeah, I will see you in the next update, I guess. I finished my last manga. I am now officially done with my spring semester for becoming a world builder as a higher calling for the whole Orilium thing, because I finished the first massive omnibus volume of Naruto, and my god, was this a blast from the past. The member berries were member berrying. Trust. For context, I have never read the Naruto manga. I have like 5 volumes of the later story arcs in Shippuden because the anime wasn't translated fast enough and it kind of ended on a cliffhanger for me, and I needed to know what's going to happen next. It was during the attack on Konoha, if you know, you know. So I bought the manga, but like only 5 volumes, and then I was like, okay, I got my answer, now I can wait for the anime to catch up. So I never read the original work, but when they started publishing these massive volumes, which is like, I think a story arc per volume or something. Okay, not quite, because the Shunen exam thing is split into 3 parts. Anyway, I picked this up. It was also very cheap. This is like 700 pages of a manga for $6. So I got it, and I was like, okay, I need to give myself over to this thing entirely. I need the full immersion thing, so I put the Naruto soundtrack on while I was reading this, and oh my god!
I can only recommend putting on the Naruto soundtrack, which is iconic when you read Naruto. Like, what the fuck? That was such an experience. My god. I may have cried a little. Not gonna lie, I may have cried a little at one point because I just had the soundtrack going on. Like, I didn't pair the soundtrack with what was going on in the manga, I just had it on in the background. But one of the saddest songs in the entire soundtrack, if you know, you know, played during the backstory of Naruto, where he's like, why he is so lonely. I was not okay. I was not okay. And then I switched to the battle soundtrack when the battle between Zabuza and Kakashi happens, both the first and the second one, where we also then have Naruto and Sasuke versus Haku. I can only recommend reading it with the soundtrack on. Like, that was one of the best decisions I've ever made. So, yeah, I feel because of all of the member berries attached to this, I cannot give this an accurate rating in terms of, like, quality and storytelling and stuff. Because not only is this a blast from the past for me, Naruto is the thing that got me into manga. It's the thing that got me into anime. I was so against Naruto for the longest time because it was so hyped up when it first came out in Germany. And then I watched like 2 episodes and I was hooked. I actually... little side tangent about the German education system. In middle school, to finish middle school, you have to write an exam in the key subjects of German and math, and there is a final exam that is you having to present something. What it is, up to you. You need to find a teacher, you need to pitch them, your idea, what you want to talk about, then you need to write an essay about it, you have to hand that in, and then you have to make a presentation, and you have to hold that presentation in front of 3 people who have no idea what you're talking about, and you have to make it convincing. And I had this final exam about mangas, and I showed up in my full Kakashi cosplay, and I brought with me every manga I own, every anime I had on DVD. So technically, Naruto is responsible for me having the best exam of my entire year. It was so good, in fact, that I was called back twice to serve as an example for the following years, so they know how to do it. So the member berries were member berrying. But yeah, this is between reading this and listening to the soundtrack, I am tempted to start watching Naruto again, do like an entire rewatch. And you know that's a project because Naruto is one of those animes that just never stopped. It's like Dragon Ball and One Piece. It's like thousands of episodes. Thousands. Plus a bajillion movies. Yeah, I love this. I very much love this. If you don't know what Naruto is about, and you just saw me rave about something you've never heard of, A, were you living under a rock? B, Naruto is the story of a kid. His name is Naruto, and he has been ostracized by his entire village because he is being kind of blamed for something that happened on the day he was born. There was this giant monster, it attacked the village, killed a bunch of people, and it is sealed away inside of Naruto. So every time someone looks at Naruto, all they can see is this monster, is this tragedy. And sadly, he lost his parents that night. So he is an orphan, and no one wants to be associated with him. And we follow him as he is pulling prank after prank because that is at least some kind of attention given to him when he misbehaves. And he goes to a ninja school because he wants to be a ninja. And not only does he want to be a ninja, he wants to be the best ninja there has ever ninja'd, because that would mean people need to show him respect. So that is his goal in life. Problem being, he's not very good at being a ninja. So we follow him through his school, his final exams, and how he becomes a ninja. And this, specifically in this massive volume, we also have the first storyline of, okay, he learns to be a ninja, he becomes a ninja, and now he has his first big mission, which leads him to a different country that is not war-torn, but there's like a super-duper billionaire who doesn't care about the people in the country, but he wants to control the country, and Naruto and his friends are escorting, well, at that point they are not yet friends, but they are escorting a man who could change everything for this country, who could bring life back to this country, which is why this billionaire asshole wants to kill him. That is the story we follow in this one. I will definitely keep continuing collecting these omnibus versions, and I will keep reading this, because my god, the member berries were member berrying so hard. I was not expecting this
having such a grip on me. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I loved it. I loved it. And now I'm officially done with my first semester for becoming a world builder. See you in August. Time to keep working on my dracologist stuff. I risk being bitten in the shin. Or in the face. Because we are currently having playtime. But I felt the need to inform you that I started and then DNF'd for She Was Wrath. Or for She Is Wrath? I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care. I was promised a Count of Monte Cristo retelling with Pakistani-inspired fantasy, and having the Count switch to a Countess, I guess. And I made it. I don't even know how far I made it in. Not even 100 pages. I think I stopped at page 80 or something because the writing was so juvenile. I wasn't expecting much when it said it wants to retell the Count of Monte Cristo as a YA fantasy with just 400 pages to go. So I didn't have great hopes for it to begin with, but my god. The writing is so shallow and juvenile, and the main character, we are only in her head. She is so damn unlikable. The only thought she has is revenge, revenge, revenge. Revenge, revenge, revenge is gonna be mine. But somehow there is no substance to that. There's also this other thing where she's just really, really, really amazing at fighting with the sword, and just in general, she is super duper amazing. It's the obnoxious kind of, I'm good at everything I do, and everything she can't do, she has a friend she made in the prison, because of course, and she can do all of the other stuff, so that is the I don't know, it's just, it felt very flat and juvenile, and the characters were very unlikable, and it had this try-hard energy to it. So after 80 pages of getting absolutely nothing from this book, I looked up some reviews and everyone says, yeah, no, it's not worth it. It is so not worth it. Because apparently the whole story is like that, and then the twist at the end is just fucking bullshit. So I was like, nah, thank you. I wasn't expecting much, again, because it's a Count of Monte Cristo retelling with just 400 pages to its name, and it's YA. And it tries to be a romantasy, so it was like, okay, there's like, everything is speaking against you from the get-go, so no thank you. Which is sad, because the thought of having a Pakistani-inspired fantasy, gender-swapped retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo is actually really cool. It sounds like such a cool concept, but my god, did it not deliver. It did not deliver at all. And yeah, I will leave it at that because he is turning into a little monster right now. As you can see, ow. So yeah, I will deal with this now. Good morning. Please excuse the look. I just rolled out of bed after allowing myself to sleep in, so it's like a double whammy of me being tired. But that's not why we're here. We are here because I finished another book. And not only that, I started it the same day. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I did it. I just know I, at some point, said, okay, I can start with Red Skies Falling by Alex London. And then I read it. And then it was over. You could say that the quality of the book was so good and so gripping that I just kept going and didn't notice time passing, but I am wildly time blind, so that is not a valid argument necessarily. I just sat down and started reading, and I wanted to get at least half done because I am kind of behind the schedule I set for myself to get it done. I kind of optimized the way that I had to read, and I fell behind. So I thought to myself, okay, let's pick up Red Skies Falling. It's a YA. I already know most of the world building because it's also a sequel. So the mindset was this has to be an easy read. And it was an easy read because it was an YA. And there were no super deep political involvements. And I kind of missed that, actually. This book has a lot of potential. There are 2 storylines I was invested in very quickly, very early on. Well, very early on, one doesn't start until the halfway point, but like the second it showed up, I was invested and I wanted it to go somewhere. But the page count of the book doesn't allow that specific storyline to go anywhere. And the other storyline is just kind of abandoned. It's just kind of abandoned. I don't know. There are these two storylines where I would have loved 100 pages more for each of them. But it's a YA, so apparently we have to meet a page count of 400 maximum. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, what is Red Skies Falling about? Red Skies Falling is about twins, Bryson and Kylie, and in the first book we're introduced to their life, to their world, and Bryson is hunting down a legendary bird, because this world is all about birds and bird magic, and Bryson is his job is to catch birds and then train them and sell them. And he is obsessed with the legend of the ghost eagle, which is this legendary, super ginormous bird of prey with some magical abilities. And he really wants to find it, because if he finds it and trains it, then he could make a buttload of money, and that would help his family out, because his dad just died, his mom is useless, and he sees himself as the breadwinner of his family. And then we have Kylie, and Kylie is the balance to Bryson. She always picks him up when he falls flat on his face, because he has a tendency to do that. And they had a shitty childhood, so they're very close. They take care of each other, blah blah blah. And Bryson is obsessed with this ghost eagle, and for that he has to climb this very treacherous mountain. That's book 1. In book 1, they try to hunt down this ghost eagle, and then shit happens. And in book 2, the shit that happened forces the twins to separate. Bryson stays back home, and Kylie has to go somewhere else to train her magic in order to help the kingdom fight a war, because there is some weird army from across the mountain, and they don't like the way of life these people live with, using the birds. They just worship the birds. It's a whole thing. So we follow both of them now in 2 separate places, and very early on in Kylie's magical training, there is this one storyline where she meets this noble boy, and he is setting up this entire political scheme plot for them to go through, only for them to speedrun it in 1.5 chapters, and then it's over, and we never see him again. And I'm like, what? We just spent 5 chapters setting up this guy. He even gets the prologue. Where is he? So that was just wasted potential right there. It fulfilled the thing it needed to fulfill in order to move the plot along, but it felt so unsatisfying the way it wrapped up, because it had to be wrapped up so quickly. And then the same thing down the line happens with Bryson when his storyline kicks off in a certain direction. I was like, oh, this is going to be very interesting, because he has to sneak around and pretend he's someone else and pretend he's here for a very different reason and blah blah blah. And then it's sped run, and then the book is over. Same, by the way, goes for Bryson's romance. Bryson's romance is the most unbelievable thing ever in this whole book. Because this thing is, the plot of book 1 hinges on Bryson having a romance with a guy that just uses him. So he's madly in love. Kylie on the whole time, Kylie is like, why are you in love with this guy? Everything Bryson does in book 1 is because he loves this shitty guy. And book 2 picks up 2 months after book 1. And by the end of book 1, Bryson broke up with the guy, thankfully. But 2 months of knowing another guy. He met in book 1, he met this other guy, and it's just a guy. And they live together for 2 months, because this guy is now living with Bryson for some reason. So they live together for 2 months, and nothing happens. And then the plot of book 2 starts to do things. Shit is starting to happen, and suddenly Bryson falls in love with this guy over the course of 2 weeks. We are being told in book 1 that Bryson falls too fast, too hard. But something tells me that we are keeping this romance, this specific romance, and this is not going to blow up in his face, and it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. But the ending of this book. The ending of book 2? Holy shit! First off, we went places for a YA novel. And second of all, what the fuck do you mean? What? So I will definitely finish this trilogy. Because what? Okay, buddy, this is not going to work. This is what I have to deal with. What? I have another update. Because I decided... Well, I started, and then I decided to DNF another book. There's another fucking plane, I hate that. I decided to wait until now to film this update, because being in the woods feels kind of fitting to tell you that I do not care a singular centimeter for The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. I picked up The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed last night, and then I read, I think, like 105 pages or something, like just over 100 pages. I made it to 26% to be exact, and I was wondering if this is turning out to be good at any point, because it was incredibly uninteresting. So I looked at some reviews. Usually when I reach like 100 pages, sometimes 200 pages depending on the length of the book, and I'm not sure about the book, I look at reviews to see if people have anything good to say about a book, and if their concerns, for the ones that rate the book very low or DNF the book, if their concerns are the same that I have, I usually DNF. And even the good reviews told me that the things I don't like about the book will be just as, not bad, but boring as they have been up until that point. So I decided to DNF after 26%, as I am bathed in holy light. There's not much to say about it. Like, seriously, there's not much to say about it. The world building, everyone was raving about the world building, and I don't quite know why. Because it's one of these instances where the world building itself is very spotty. Like, you have the village where the main character is from, then you get some splurge about the two different religions, because this is inspired by, I think, Jewish and Hungarian mythology, I'm not quite sure. And one of the characters is basically like a paladin, like he gets his powers from the god he's worshipping, and the people in the female main character's village as well gets their powers from their gods. So religion is kind of an important thing, so we get a bunch of stuff about the religion. We get information, like, just crumbs. I don't even know what the village looks like that she is from. I just know it's out there in the woods. And we get crumbs about the capital city, but actually we don't get anything. So people say this is incredible world building. Well, it's not in the first 100 pages, and that's kind of where you want to hook the reader, so I don't know. Also, the female main character, she's lamenting about the fact that she doesn't have any magical powers the entire time, which is kind of annoying, and we are in her head. This is written in first person. It got on my nerves very quickly. What about the male main character? I don't know. I don't get him, because he can't fight, yet somehow was able to join the most elite fighting force the kingdom has. He's a prince, and he specifically says he is trained in fighting with the sword and with words, yet he does neither of those things. He's a bit of a wimp, and the only thing he has going for himself is his powers, his magical powers, which he gets from his god, but in order to use them, he has to self-harm. Okay, I guess. The one thing this book has going for it is you have all of these vibes. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. And then it just turns into a gore fest for like half a chapter. And it's hunky-dory again, like frozen tundra, blah, 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 gore fest. Frozen tundra, blah, 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 gore fest. And like, okay, cool. The gore is written really good. I did like the places where we had the gore, but it's only one scene here, one scene there in the first 100 pages. Again, I'm not reviewing the entire thing. And if I want to read a splatterpunk novel, I'm going to pick up a splatterpunk novel, you know? But these characters, they didn't do anything for me, and the world building didn't do anything for me. Everything just felt flat, and I was so uninterested by 100 pages, I decided to DNF. So I DNF'd. Which now makes this the second DNF I have to deal with, which ultimately means I'm probably not going to achieve my goal of reading 4,000 pages specifically for the Decrologist in this semester, meaning I have to do it in 2 years. The overachieving perfectionist part of me does not like that at all. This is going to be the outro, because oh my god, my brain is leaking out of my ears from all the reading I did so far. And technically, I am not done with everything I wanted to read. I'm still missing a bunch of pages because of my 2 DNFs, and I haven't even started The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons? I don't know. I haven't even started that, and I won't start it. I won't start it. The month is as good as over. It's currently the 27th. I made it through half of the second book, well, my second book of Battle Mage, and I don't want to anymore. I don't want to anymore. Don't get me wrong, I'm still very much in love with this. Reminder, again, the German publisher split the one book Battle Mage into 2 books, so even though this looks like 50% of the second book, this is technically overall 75% for anyone who's reading this book in anything but German. So I made it 75% into Battle Mage. I haven't started Battle Mage Aquila, and it's probably not going to happen anyway. Just like Sky on Fire is not going to happen, because I know I am sick and tired of reading high fantasy. I'm sick and tired of reading books the size of my head. I need a break. I need a break. So I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to read a bunch of comics, I guess, for the next couple of days. Yeah. I mean, given all of the DNFs I had, I already knew that I needed 2 years to complete my Dracology spring semester thing, so I'm not too miffed about having to call it here. Am I miffed about the fact that I need to do it in 2 years? Yes, but also no. I tried. I gave it a good shot, and I still read so much. It was, quantity-wise, one of my best reading months ever. Not just this year, but like ever. Given that I also read all of these mangas. And I did do the world builder thing. So in the autumn semester, I at least will probably get that done. So that is nice. So still 1 higher calling per year for me. And yeah, I will just do the math, figure out how many pages I'm missing, and then make a note that I can hopefully find next April to figure out how much I still need to reach. And then, cool side note, that means my next Orilium, like the next round of it, not the next semester, but like next year's Orilium, will be calm. And because I know that I need 2 years, maybe I can convince myself to be calm in August? No, September. The next round of September. So maybe I can convince my overachieving perfectionist brain that we can't take it slow because we already have to do it in 2 years. You know, I will leave it at that. If you made it this far into the video, let me know how your Orilium went if you participated. Again, let me know if you did normal spring semester bullshittery or if you too had to tackle the higher callings now. And if you don't want to talk to me, leave the wizard emoji down in the comments below, or a dragon for my failed Dracology stuff. Wizard, dragon, wizard, dragon with a wizard head on. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!